Hi everyone and welcome to my review of the nameless Powercolor Dual Fan 5700 XT graphics card, aka the 8GBD6-3DH. I've been looking for a graphics card to upgrade my RX 580 4GB card for a while, which was showing its age in both power and VRAM capacity in modern AAA titles. Since I'm planning to upgrade to 1440p very soon, I definitely needed something with a lot more power. So when I saw a brand new 5700 XT was available for just over £300, I jumped on it. One thing that was off-putting to me was the lack of reviews for this card, which is usually a bad sign as it suggests that the manufacturers don't want the eyes of critical reviewers to see it. Anyway, since I have the card in my possession, I thought I'd give my thoughts on it. First, a disclaimer, I'm just an amateur tech enthusiast, so this review won't be flawless and all-encompassing. That being said, let's get into it. First of all, if you didn't know this was one of the cheapest 5700 XTs before, then you'll know from the unboxing. It comes in a very plain box and doesn't come with any display output caps, which even my budget RX 580 came with. But strangely enough, it does come with a backplate, which I like very much due to its understated and colour neutral design. I'm not taking this card apart, so I'm not sure if the backplate helps to dissipate heat or it's just a fancy heat trap. The card is a true dual slot model with dimensions of 229mm in length, 97mm in width and 40mm in height. The dual fan model comes with 4 display outs, with 3 display ports and 1 HDMI connector. The fans are 90mm in diameter, which are smaller than the 100mm fans on its big brother, the Red Dragon, and without the Dragon branding on them. The card weighs just 710 grams and looks to have 5 copper heat pipes and a very skinny heatsink. Also, unlike its big brother, this graphics card has no BIOS switch, so this is very much a basic model in every way you look at it. Anyway, onto the really important stuff, the testing. The card was tested on the latest Windows 1909 version, with the new Radeon software version 19.12.2. The CPU used was a Ryzen 2600 overclocked to 4.1 GHz, 16GB of DDR4 clocked at 3333 MHz, CL16 on an X370 motherboard. It's worth noting that I'm not going to be looking at game performance benchmarks in this review, partly because I don't have the optimum hardware to ensure there's no performance bottlenecking on the card, but mostly because there's no meaningful difference between different 5700 XT graphic cards. For example, if you look at this chart taken from Hardware Unbox, there's only a 2 to 3% performance difference from the basic models to the super expensive models, and therefore focusing on gaming FPS benchmark seems redundant to me. If you want to know what kind of performance you should expect with this card, I suggest checking the link in the description for a professional 41 game benchmark video produced by the good folks at Hardware Unboxed. To test the card, I loaded up F1 2018 at ultra settings, which pegged the GPU usage at around 98%. All values were taken from MSI Afterburner in a half-hour run in an 18 degrees temperature controlled room. The card used very little power at around 180 watts, making it one of the most power efficient 5700 XTs out there. The model saw peak GPU temperatures of 76 degrees with a junction temperature of 91 degrees. The GDDR6 memory had a peak of 88 degrees and the VRM had a peak of 76 degrees. These temperatures are very concerning, especially considering the test environment. Most reviews are conducted on a test bench and have the absence of direct airflow. However, my tests were conducted in a Cooler Master Masterbox 5, a case with a mesh front panel with 2 120mm intake fans that blow directly on the card and has a Noctua 120mm exhaust fan. This creates a good environment to keep a graphics card cool, and so still seeing temperatures this high really is unacceptable. I would hate to see what temperatures would be seen with this model in a case with poor airflow. This should mean that this model is one of the worst AIB cards out there, a total failure. However, when looking at the metrics I saw the fan spinning very low, just over 1500 RPM. For reference, the Red Dragon typically has fan speeds of 1900 RPM under load, and you'd expect the cheaper card with smaller fans to spin faster. So, okay, I thought it might be a driver issue messing up the default fan curve. I then used AMD's cleanup utility to uninstall and reinstall the drivers. I got the same results. Used DDU to uninstall and then reinstall. Still the same results. I can only think that the newest drivers messed up the default fan curve, or the fan comes with a bizarre fan curve that focuses on silent operation and high temperatures. So the next step was to create a custom fan curve that I would consider normal and see what the results are. Since AMD's Radeon software fan control does not work currently, I created one using MSI Afterburner. The new curve had the fans spin about 1950 RPM under full load. With the new fan curve, the card had a peak GPU temperature of 71 degrees with a junction temp of 86 degrees. The GDDR6 memory had a peak of 84 degrees, and the VRM had a peak of 71 degrees. These results are more in line with what I would expect to see, although they're still not great. A quick word on the noise. With the default fan curve, the card was almost completely silent as expected with the low RPM. With my custom curve of around 2000 RPM, the card was still running quiet, with a soft pitch just a little bit louder than my case fans. Take a listen. Anything above 2000 RPM was much more noticeable, and above 2100 RPM you really start to enter jet engine territory, as can be heard here. In conclusion, from my testing, the card has a very basic and lackluster cooling solution, evidenced by the high temperatures seen even in my well ventilated case. That being said, I'm still really happy with my purchase. The temps are higher than what I'd like, but all are within spec. For example, GDDR6 is usually fine up till about 105 degrees, and the junction GPU temperature to be up till about 110 degrees. The level of performance I've seen from the card is amazing, especially as it was £50 cheaper than other models, and I've experienced none of the driver issues I see people complaining about on online forums. So, time for the all-important question. Would I recommend Powercolor's Dual Fan 5700 XT? I think I would, but with some major caveats. Firstly, if you can find Sapphire's Pulse, XFX's FIC2, or even Powercolor's Red Dragon models priced within £15 or $20 within the price of this card, I'd opt for those models instead. The reason for this is that those models will have much improved cooling compared to this one, and in the case of the XFX and the Sapphire models, they come with 3 years warranty instead of the 2 that comes with this card. In addition, you need to be comfortable with setting your own fan curve, ideally opting for about 2000 RPM when the card is under full load to help keep temperatures in check. Also, I'd recommend using this card in the case with pretty good airflow, ideally with a front fan blowing cool air onto the GPU to help with the cooling. If you can satisfy all these conditions, and this card is significantly cheaper than the other models mentioned, then this Dual Fan 5700 XT is an okay choice. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.